Hello YouTube, today we'll be modeling a sword in Blender with an animation. The next video is going to be about exporting this finished model with the sword and animation into Unreal Engine 4 and then setting it up so whenever you click it plays the animation and loops back to the original starting position. So the first step to modeling the sword is choosing how you're going to do it. You can freeform model, which is where you model using a reference image, or you can trace model, which is where the reference image is in Blender on this plane, and I'm going to be doing that today because it's a lot easier to follow along as a tutorial. So the first step is to find a sword that you like. I went to Google and I found this one. Make sure it's in the top view so you can trace it a lot easier. Once you save it to your computer, you're going to have to click N on the keyboard and hit background images, check that, add an image, and then open. And here is where you're going to have to find where you saved it and click open. You'll notice it hasn't appeared yet, and that's because we're going to need to switch the view. So we're going to go to top view by clicking 7 on the numpad and then clicking 5 to go into orthographic so everything's equal. The first step is rotating it along the z-axis, scaling it down a bit. You want to do this around the middle of the blade or at the base. That looks about right. Maybe a bit bigger. Okay, there. And we're going to have to go into edit mode and choose the editing by faces. And then clicking Z to go into wireframe, so you select everything behind it. You choose that face and extrude it along the image. And whenever it gets off a bit like this, you're going to have to edit it up so it lines up with the image. And then keep doing this till you reach the end. And once you reach around here, you're going to need to scale it down. The very important thing to be aware of when you're scaling is right now when we scale it looks like it's just along like the 2D plane, but if we look in object mode it changes the depth. So when we scale it, we're going to need to choose oh, hold on. Okay, there. Scale along the y-axis. Sorry about that. That's about right. And there's two different y's. There's the y-axis of the grid, and then there's the y-axis of the model, and that's what I'm using right now. And just model the, oops, sorry about that. Model the tip. You have to make a pretty fine point. That's good enough. And then drag it up. And if we go into object mode, we can see, at least from the top, it looks pretty close to the sword. But before we continue, you'll notice it's a lot too thick to be a sword. It looks more like a club right now. We're going to have to scale it along the z-axis by clicking S and then Z, and then getting around to the width of an actual sword, and that looks about right, maybe a bit. Yeah, that's about right. So go back into edit mode, click that face, top, and 5, and extruding, same deal as what we were doing earlier. Might scale that up a bit. And then hit Z just so you can see what's behind it. And then extrude it down to where it connects with the hilt. And here you're going to have to I like editing with vertices, so just hit this right here, and then while wireframe is selected, you're going to hit B and drag it over this vertice, and it selects the one behind it, so all the changes made apply to both parts of it. And then, if you notice, the next nearest vertice is right here, so we're going to hit Control R, and then scroll on the mouse wheel, and it'll give us a new set of vertices to work around with. And yeah, that looks pretty decent. Nothing fancy yet, but you had the basics of the blade finished. I'm just gonna scale that up just a bit. The next most important detail I can see with the blade right now is it's not sharp at all. So we're gonna have to click Control R, and you want it along this axis right here, where it's along the entire edge of the blade, and left click and then right click, and then now we have a new set of lines to work with. So what we're going to do is we have to select each and every line by clicking shift or holding shift and selecting each line. And if you use control instead of shift, it'll select every line in between the last selected one and the one you just selected. So now that we have this entire side selected, we're going to move it out just a bit, kind of like that. So then it looks more like a sharpened edge. Yeah, that looks about right. And then same deal with this side. Actually, hold on. I guess you don't necessarily have to, because only one side is sharpened on the type of sword I'm making, but I'm still going to do a slight edge. Oh yeah, and if you accidentally select a line, just click shift and then that line, and then it'll deselect it. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, sweet. So we have the blade. Let's go back to our image. We have this divot right here, so we're going to click Control R. And let's see, choose one line, move it up and down. And yeah, that's about right. It matches the top side of this divot. And we're going to click it again. And there's the other side of the divot. And it's about right. You might want to add another line to the very end, right there. And we're just going to have to play around with it until we get the type of style that we like. So now that we have that selected, if we drag it down, it's going to drag everything out here down also with it. We don't really want that. So what we're going to have to end up doing, oops, sorry about that, is I'm going to extrude it instead of scaling. So extrude it down just a bit like that. And then once we do that, we're going to scale it. Hold on a second. Oh, shoot, I forgot a pretty important step. We're going to have to add another line like that. So that Okay, the next step of modeling this sword is going to be the hilt. So back into our reference image view, click Shift S just to get the cursor to the center, and we're going to add a cylinder as, not a sphere, a cylinder, because that's the most similar shape to a hilt. So we're going to rotate it on, let's see, the Y, and then you're going to type 9 degrees, and then rotate this along the Z axis, scale it down, move it to around the hilt area, and yeah, that looks about right. Scale along the Z axis so it roughly meets the blade. And we're going to go into our perspective view and scale this along the Z axis, make it a bit flatter. That looks about right. Let's see what else we can do to make it look nicer. Oh, okay. So while it is in edit mode, click Control R again. Scroll it up so you have a couple sets of vertices to choose from. And we're going to move this entire thing downwards. Oops. You want to make sure you select all those. Then line it up, same thing. You have to select some vertices, move them around. Yeah, that looks a bit closer to the image. And the last part of the modeling is we're going to need to add a crossguard to this sword. So the closest shape I could associate this with is a cube. Now that I look at it, if we go to the side view by clicking 1 and we choose select the cylinder, choose the side view, we can notice that these, whoops, oh, that's a bit tricky, okay. These two faces are right along the blade, so you can extrude that out and do the exact same process that we did with modeling the blade. So we're a bit short on time, so I'm just going to speed up the process. It's not going to look as nice, but it'll get the job done. Okay, now that we have that done, choose edges, choose this edge, and we have to go back into this mode and choose this edge, and click F, and this edge, F, and then this edge and this edge. Actually, we're going to click Control R to make a line so it doesn't make an edge from here to here. So click there, F. Do that around the entire object. And that looks about nice. That looks pretty nice. Well, good enough, I mean. Okay, now that we're done with that, we might as well smooth it out just a bit by adding a subdivision surface. Subdivision surface. Oh, okay. This modifier, subdivision surface. Let's see. There. And you notice it looks a bit weird. That's okay. No, that's not okay. Okay, now the next step is to join these two together by clicking Ctrl J, and you'll notice that whenever you deselect, it'll become one object. I'm just going to make it a bit wider. There we go. Okay, now if we want textures on this, we're going to have to go into edit mode, click A, select the entire thing, and Smart UV project, which it just unwraps it using algorithms. And normally they turn out pretty well, so we'll see what we get. So go down to here, UV image editor, and everything looks about right. And we're going to go to the material over here. We're going to have two separate materials. We got the blade and the hilt. The blade, we're going to use nodes. Click this thing, image texture. And then for here, you just go to Google and type in like steel texture tileable, and you'll get a whole ton of textures. Yeah, I think I've downloaded this one. So you choose your texture, click A again, or whoops, yeah, click A. Make sure everything here is in orange, and this might be useful later, so click that. So once that's all selected, you're going to assign it to the blade texture, and we'll see that it has been assigned to the blade, and it doesn't look too good right now. It's really grainy, so I'm going to select everything and scale it up so it's more dense. That looks maybe a bit more. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, and then we're going to go into top view, 5, and then we're going to select the entire hilt section. And you want to click Z so you don't miss anything behind it. Okay, and then you're just gonna have to, make sure you don't click anything extra. Okay, now with that selected, you'll see it doesn't include the entire object, so you're gonna have to, whatever texture you want the hilt to be, I think I'm gonna use a wood texture. Wood plank. Yeah, we'll see what this is. Yeah, that could work. So select the hilt texture. I'm gonna rotate it so it's a bit more, just so it's facing a different way. This one isn't tieable. We're a bit short on time, so it's gonna be a bit sketchy. And whoops. Okay, scale it. This one we can scale down actually. Doesn't look too good, but it'll get the job done. Okay, the very last step is to animate this, and it may seem pretty hard, but it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. You're gonna want to get it in the position that the character holds it. Perspective is pretty useful for this one. So keep rotating it. I think that's pretty close. You want it like, yeah, a bit above the origin. Like that. And you go to object, animation, insert keyframe, and the only thing we're going to be doing is changing the location. So select location, and oh yeah, an important step for the camera tab, you're going to want where is it? Shoot, I forgot. We'll get to it later. Never mind. So around frame 60, actually frame 30, 31, you're going to want to do the exact same thing, and I'll show you what this does. So location, and right in the middle, at around frame 12, you're going to want to move the object to where it'll look like when you attack. I think around there is good. Animation, insert keyframe, and just location. And now, oh, whoops. Sorry. Insert keyframe, location, and rotation. There you go. Okay, so around 30, same thing. Okay, and then right here, you're gonna drag that out to however you want the sword to look like when you attack. And object and animation, insert keyframe, location and rotation. So now we have our animation, and since it ends on frame 30, we can change the 250 to just 30, and we'll see this is what it looks like. So yeah, this is the very basic dimension. Obviously we can change some stuff about it. Okay, sorry. Here it is. Here it is. So at the 24 FPS, most video games run pretty smoothly at around 60 frames per second. So you want to click 60, and you'll see this is what the animation is going to look like. It's not as prominent as I wanted to. I wanted it to stick out a bit more. So if you want, you can go back and change how that looks. Anyways, this is what the final model will look like that we'll be importing into Unreal Engine 4. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, don't forget to save. Goodbye.